The central bank there sold an undisclosed amount of American dollars into the market, of course, following that very steep decline in the trading volumes in the foreign exchange markets. Now, the CBN sale to local banks took place last week, Friday. Nigerian companies and importers have been struggling to obtain dollars as falling oil prices have led to a decline in the oil exporting nation's revenues and a very steep depreciation in its currency, the naira. Now, last week, the central bank announced it would inject liquidity, if needed, into the interbank market, which has dried up in the wake of a directive to government departments and ministries to move all their funds out of commercial banks and into a single account in the central bank. This policy is part of President Muhammadu Buhari's drive to fight corruption and enhance transparency. Let's go live to Lagos now. Deji Banwas is live in that lovely city with more details on this particular story. Deji, demand for dollars is still present, the decline in growth notwithstanding, but trading volumes have dwindled to an average of just 3 to 5 deals a day. Isn't that a direct consequence of the CBN's policy to restrict foreign currency access?
Absolutely, Rama. You're very correct. It's a direct consequence of the CBN restrictions now on the access to foreign exchange. And of course, we still do not know if the CBN will be easing restriction after its Monetary Policy Committee meeting tomorrow. But the feelers we're getting is that, well, we may not see that happen at all. Sometime, if you still remember now, some months ago, the CBN restricted about 41 items now from accessing the foreign exchange markets. And what we are getting now is the result. Of course, you also have that problem of liquidity. So we do not expect some kind of easing at all in terms of the foreign exchange market. The CBN, we doubt, will want to loosen its management of the foreign exchange market now because of the consequence that could have on the country's foreign reserve. And that foreign reserve, by the way, has not been doing very well. I mean, the gains we made some months ago is now being gradually depleted. As at a few days ago, it was around 30 point something billion dollars. And so the CBN is definitely very careful to ensure that the foreign reserve is not completely depleted because you know, whether you like it or not, for instance, what the CBN did today, it had to go into the foreign reserve to pump in liquidity into the foreign exchange market. So we're not expecting anything dramatic. That's what analysts are saying after the Monetary Policy Committee meeting tomorrow. The prayer is just that the price of oil in the international oil market, the prayer is that it should go up, and that when it goes up, then maybe things will begin to stabilize, Rama.
Indeed, whatever data is, of course, controlling the oil market don't seem to be listening to those prayers. But let's focus on the Monetary Policy Committee. It's taking place today and tomorrow. Given the fact that now Muhammadu Buhari has implemented this directive, telling all ministries to move their cash out of commercial banks into the single account of the central bank, shouldn't we expect a reduction in the cash reserve ratio for public sector deposits from the MPC?
Well, the consensus among financial analysts here is that after the Monetary Policy Committee, that's when that meeting now comes to an end tomorrow, that we should see some kind of announcement that the central bank may just decide to reduce the cash reserve ratio, which is, of course, at 31% now. But of course, we do not know. There have been arguments that there's no need at all, that what you just need to do is probably, that the central bank should probably remunerate a segment of that cash reserve ratio. But the consensus among financial analysts is that we should see a reduction in the cash reserve ratio. But in terms of the monetary policy rate, we expect it to remain the same. We also expect the liquidity ratio now to remain the same at 31%. The monetary policy rate remain at 13%. But Rama, we still have to wait. But it definitely makes more sense for the CBN to reduce the cash reserve ratio. And some people are projecting that the cash reserve ratio may be reduced to somewhere between 22% and 20%. But again, we have to wait and see. But everybody agrees, most financial analysts will tell you there's every need to reduce it, that if you reduce the cash reserve ratio, it will definitely neutralize the negative impact of the TSA on the banking sector, Rama.
Indeed. One final question for you, Deji. I know we've beaten this topic to death in the literal sense of the word. We should have had a cabinet in place by now. We were talking about this last week. An announcement was expected then. What's causing the delay?
Well, we still do not know. One thing we do know is that the president, the names of the ministerial nominees are yet to be submitted to the Senate of the country. Of course, you know the Senate will have to screen the nominees. The last time we heard about that list, we understand it's still with the secret police in Nigeria here. That's the Department of State Services. That what the Department of State Services is doing now is to vet that list. After vetting the list, I guess the president would have to send that list to the Senate for screening. So it is after that screening that the list will now be sent back to the president, and that is when the final announcement will be made. But the president has said before the end of this month, we're going to have the ministers in place. There's still time, probably before the end of this week or sometime next week, we're going to have the names of the ministerial nominees, and we're going to have a cabinet in place. But of course, the president has given every assurance that before the end of September, we're going to have a cabinet in place. So, I mean, today is just the 21st of September. We still have about 9 or 10 days to go. We just have to wait, and I believe pretty soon we're going to get a cabinet in place. That's what the president has told us. And I don't think that it will be in the interest of the government now to deviate from what it has promised.
Indeed, we'll leave it there for the time being and just keep waiting. Thank you for the update. That's Tejiban Muslang there in Lagos.